Good afternoon. Welcome to Princess Juliana Airport and TBM 930. Going to do a flight today down to Piarco on the island of Trinidad. And we got the flight plan loaded here. All is looking good. So, I wonder if we can get the GPU here. Because last time I did this, I had some flickering panels. And I'm wondering if that wasn't because, alright, so battery and GPU, battery and generator on. Alright, so let's do a real quick load up of this flight plan. Alright, so we are on St. Maarten. I'm going to show you how to load the flight plan here. So, origin, TNCM.
TOS system test. OK.
Now it wants us to select a departure. We want to do the Modor 2 departure with Elopo transition. I'm going to load that. Now you load your departure by clicking on that. It didn't have anything there before. It just said departure. Click on that to load the departure. And now we go to Elopo and then add en route waypoint. So first en route waypoint is going to be ANU. Enter. And then we've got some airways. So you click on ANU, load airway. Airway is Alpha 312. Exit is FOF. Load airway. You can see 312, 312, 312, 312, then FOF, then after FOF it changes to 324. Now we're going to go down to FOF, click on that again, click on airway, A324. Now where do we get out of A324? Get out of A324 at GND. So we're going to go down to GND, select that, load airway. Then we are going to add one more en route waypoint, which is Dukla, direct Dukla. DUKLA. Enter. Now after Dukla is our arrival, our destination rather, TTPP. Enter. Now, to load an approach, you don't click procedure. You click destination, TTPP. If you wanted an arrival, you would select it here. We don't because there isn't one. Select approach, RNAV 10, transition NAPCO. Load that. And now our approach is loaded. Now if you just click on home and go back to flight plan, so that tells us we didn't screw anything up. Now here's the RNAV approach into Piarco. Now here's NAPCO. This is how you load the VNAV stuff. You see here NAPCO, 4,100 feet. 4,100 feet, enter. 3.0 nautical miles to Lexor. See, there's 3,300 feet for this sector. So we're going to put 3,300 feet for that waypoint. Lexor, it's down to 2,500 feet. You can see here for that sector, it's 2,500 feet. Then enter. Then Talus is next, which is at 1,700 feet, mandatory 1,700 feet. 1,700 feet. Then it's the runway. Runway elevation is 30 feet. So I'm going to put that in. Now everything for our VNAV for the approach is loaded. Alright, so now let's get this engine started before the battery runs out. Alright, ignition is on auto. Auxiliary pump is on auto. That's on auto. That's on. Turn the oxygen on. Let's get over here to the PFD. Timers. Start. And engage the starter. Turn this off.
Warning, okay.
You start getting the NG rise. When it gets to 14, go to low idle. Oil pressure is coming up. It's in the green. ITT is coming up. Now you watch the NG. Now that gets into the 50s. Once it gets up towards the upper 50s, you go into high idle. And now that's going to go up to about 80 and it's going to settle back down. Prop RPM coming up. Torque is at 32. ITT is coming up. Oil pressure good. Oil temperature is good. Alright, let's put the bleed on auto. Let's put in 228. Transfer that. 4643 is our. Always got to go altitude reporting. 122.8. Alright, so now the engine is running. We are right here. Let's brief the departure really quickly. Alright, Modor to departure, Alopo transition, climb direct Modor, cross Modor at or above 4,000. If unable, advise ATC, turn left direct Alopo. So we take off, right hand turn direct Modor at 4,000, left hand turn to Alopo. So we'll put 4,000 in as our initial altitude, even though we'll blow through that pretty quickly. Alright, now let's get the altimeter setting here in St. Maarten. It is 1018. Cracks me up that you can change this to QNH, but you can't change this one to QNH. So 3006. Transition altitude is 5,000 feet, so that's the altitude where we gotta go over to standard altimeter setting. Alright, I think we are good to go. I'm going to engage the brakes. I'm going to release the parking brake. Nav and strobes on. Taxi light on. Alright. Fuel is on auto. Oxygen is on. Alright, let's move it over into taxi. Juliana traffic, TBM 9030 Mike Romeo, taxiing to runway 10, taxiway Charlie. Juliana. And I still have the same key bound for my there's traffic coming in right there, for autopilot disconnect and the camera switch to external camera, so I can't use my external camera right now, which is kind of stupid. That's the way it is.
Approaching runway 1028.
So that right there is actual live American Airlines traffic. Alright, so let's put in not your takeoff flaps. Let's switch this over to FMS. Turn on the flight director. I suppose I can use this right now. See, American Airlines got off down there. Okay, cool. So, no traffic coming in that I can see. So let's go over to the Modor 2 departure. And let's get going. Let's turn on our landing light. Lights are on, flaps are set. Okay. Juliana traffic, TBM 930 Mike Romeo, taking runway 10 for departure to the south.
Approaching
Juliana.
runway 1, entered runway 1028.
Alright, so we're going to make sure that the heading indicator checks with the runway number. 90 is rotation speed. Alright, heading indicator checks with the runway number. Alright, takeoff power coming in. Takeoff power is set. Engine instruments are in the green. Airspeed is alive, all three. 70 knots, all three. 90 and rotate. Radio altimeter shows positive rate. Gear is coming up. Let's bring the power back from takeoff power. 115 knots. We can turn those flaps. We can put those flaps up. Now we shall make our right-hand turn to Modor. Alright, let's put it in nav mode. Let's engage autopilot, flight level change. And let's keep an eye on this baby, make sure it doesn't do anything weird. So I'm going to put the indicated airspeed to 170 for climb. Oopsie daisy. Alright, and then we're going to put in put in 15,000 feet. And there we have it. So we are now direct Modor. 90 on the torque. Cabin is pressurizing. Prop RPM, NGs, and ITT are all good. Oil pressure, oil temperature are good. Electrics are good. Trims are good. Gear is up and indicating. Flaps are up. We are cruising, is what we are. We are cruising. Alright, Modor is at or above 4,000. We're almost at 4,000 already. There's 4,000, so we're good. There's St. Bart's kind of through the clouds over there. We're gonna We're making a turn here pretty soon to towards that. So keep an eye on the torque and the climb. Make sure it stays at 90. Engine instruments all good. Oil pressures are good. Cabin is pressurizing. Differential PSI is 2. That's all great. Alright, 5,000 feet is transition altitude. I believe that's what it said. Transition altitude 5,000 feet, so we go to 1013. There's Modor. You know, you might think that, you know, these types of airplanes with a lot of automation are simple to fly, and this one is, relatively speaking. But there's a lot to keep track of. That's, you know, for single pilot. That torque to 90. Alright. Yeah. For single pilot, there's a lot to do. The automation helps you. But it does not alleviate you of the responsibility of being pilot in command. There is a lot to do in a quick space of time, and all that seems easy. 90, rotate, positive rate, gear up, 115 knots, flaps up. You know, get your altitude set, engage the autopilot, reduce power. You know, make sure the engine instruments are all good, make sure the cabin's pressurizing, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it all goes quickly, and you think, gee, that's really no big deal. It's no big deal until something goes wrong, or something unexpected happens, or you get a, I'm going to dial this up to our cruise altitude of 25,000 feet, or you get some sort of a warning tone, or you get an unexpected you know, diversion for traffic, or you get an unexpected rerouting. So all this really does is just make it easier to handle everything, to do everything, but it doesn't, you know, there's a lot to do. So this SID requires, this SID requires a minimum of 1,200 feet ceiling, 2.8 nautical miles visibility to see and aboard the mountain, 2.8 nautical miles east of the end. Okay, there you go. And this stuff here, we look down at St. Bart's Airport right there. It's the runway right there. Direct distance from the beginning of the takeoff rotation area of runway 10 to Modor is 10.1 nautical miles. So that's from where you take off on the runway to Modor is 10.1 nautical miles. And the reason why they tell you that is because on an instrument departure like this, you have to achieve at least a 200-foot climb per nautical mile. And if you're going 120 knots, that's 2 miles a minute. So that would require a 400 foot per minute climb. And in 10 minutes, that would get you up to 4,000 feet. Well, actually, no. Let's see. 2 miles a minute is 10 minutes. That would give you 5 minutes. Five minutes at 400 feet a minute only gets you to 2,000 feet. Huh. That's an interesting little tidbit. Probably not for you guys. Because usually if there's an increased climb requirement or a higher than standard climb requirement, it's going to be somewhere in the chart. Alright, just stop, will you? No, apparently you won't. We don't see any traffic. No traffic. Routing instructions may be superseded by radar vectors. As soon as practical, turn right. Modor. Above 4,000. It is 10.1 nautical miles. That's weird. So 200 feet per nautical mile is standard. So let's say you're doing 60 knots. 1 nautical mile a minute. Let's say your ground speed is 60 knots. It's going to take you 10 minutes to get to Modor. You're doing 200 feet per nautical mile times 10 is 2,000 feet. So you would not make the crossing restrictions. So this is actually non-standard. This is double the standard. It's double the standard climb gradient for an instrument departure. Maybe because this is international, the FAA is 200 feet per nautical mile. Interesting. Well, there you go. There's your little curiosity of the day. I don't know why that would be. Alright, cabin is pressurizing. Differential PSI is 5. RPM and GITT is all good. PSI is good. Oil temperature's good. That's interesting. Let's go to our flight plan. Right now it has us getting into 21:57, 2 hours. Two hours in the nose. And that's going to change once we get to altitude. I'm going to keep the hammer down on this flight. I'm going to go fast. Alright, we have reached Ilopo. That is the end of our adventure. Go 205. To Pixo. Just looking at other ways I could theoretically do this and achieve the same result. Could actually go ANU down this UL 205. I mean, you can do pretty much go MKISS and then TGPY, but yeah, it's alright. What I could do right now is hit direct TGPY. Just go straight down here. So getting up here to level off. Once we do that, we'll see if this starts to change. Already has changed. About 15 minutes. That is Barbuda over there. It's the sister island of the nation of Antigua and Barbuda. I'm getting my islands down pretty good. Yeah, see now that's come down to 33. Let's see, we're gonna turn right. See how this wind is coming off our left? It's kind of quartering off our left. Kind of like this. So when we turn right up here, it's going to be a direct tailwind. So that's now down to 2128. We're still picking up ground speed. We're still picking up true airspeed and ground speed for that matter. 27 miles from the Antigua VOR. Don't know if we're going to be able to see it. Close this up a little bit. So, see, turn our landing light off. So we've got, let's see. About 4 minutes until we reach ANU, where we'll be turning due south. We should pick up a few more knots anyway. Alright, cabin altitude settled in at 8,132 feet, differential PSI is 5, that's fine. 167 gallons of fuel on board, that's plenty. Plenty of fuel. Flight is telling me we got an hour and 20 minutes. This is telling me we got, let's see, 20 minutes, 8:05. Yeah, hour and 20 minutes. So, see what we're doing here. Going down, straight down, and over. Which is the way I meant to do. What my let's see. Settings. Inset window. Ah, that's nice to see. Wind vector. Oh, fuel reserve. That is cool. Look at that. What this is, so for IFR flight, I'm gonna make our turn here over Antigua. I didn't know this. So for IFR flight, you need a fuel reserve. You need to be able to fly to your intended destination, then onto your alternate, and then once you've reached your alternate, you need to be able to fly for 45 minutes at normal cruising speed. That's the minimum IFR fuel reserve. So that's what this ring is giving us. Look at this. It obviously stretches further this way because the wind is coming north to south, more or less. But that is amazing. So what? I don't know why it's giving us 3 hours and 55 minutes, but that's unbelievable. And you can enter your own fuel reserve if you want to. How cool is that? I got my wind vector right there. My tail, see, that's right off my butt right now. So let's go back to flight plan here and see what it's telling us now. Now it's telling us 2124. So, alright. So we are now settling into the boring part of the flight. So what I am going to do is go feed the dog. So we got about an hour and 13 minutes. Guadalupe coming up here off the nose. So I'm going to set that, and I'm going to go feed the dog, and I'll be back in a little bit. Enjoy the flight. sort of back here. Just want to have a look here. Still doing good on everything. Cabin altitude is good. Alright, now we're looking at what? 2123, so alright. Now my big question now is alright, we've got 28 minutes, so what happens is that's gonna be my top of descent point right there. So because I went into my flight plan and entered these altitudes, see NAPCO is the first altitude in the approach right here, NAPCO. It's the RNAV 10 approach at Piarco. NAPCO 4,100 feet. NAPCO 4,100 feet. Because I put all these in, it has calculated a top of descent point. And what it does is target vertical speed 1,775 feet a minute. Flight path angle 3 degrees. So what it's going to do is, I wonder if that gives you direct to top of descent. I don't want to futz around with it and find out. But the bottom line is, it's Martinique. That's, I believe, Dominica. So I've got 26 minutes until my top of descent, which is pretty cool. VX 100 knots, VY 124 knots. Approach speed is 85. Okay. So yeah. Dun, dun, dun. I gotta do this every time. Alright, so okay. So let's go to charts and approach and RNAV 10. We'll go back here. We're gonna go half. And now what I have is I have this chart right here, over here, and I've got my map. And when we make our descent, you'll see how the VNAV works. It's really pretty cool. It gives you all your target altitudes, your target descent rates, all kinds of good stuff. So, flight plan, "24 minutes to top of descent." So, what I am going to do is go finish some work and then come back in about 20 minutes. So I just realized I've been talking to myself the last few minutes. Time to top a descent is 10 minutes and 50 seconds, as you see there. Let's go here, over to that panel. You see the top of descent point now. So we've got the 4,100 feet dialed in. That's the altitude at the initial approach fix of NAPCO. So we got 4,100 feet dialed in. That's also what is dialed in the VNAV. NAPCO 4,100 feet. It's an active VNAV waypoint, so that's all good. So now what we need to do is get the weather. And these are the Grenadines below us. These are really, really beautiful islands. Just gorgeous. I suppose it's going to say in here exactly which islands they are. Exactly which island is which, I suppose. But anyway. Alright, the weather at Piarco. As we look at this beautiful view out the side. Weather at Piarco, winds are 0, 9 or 0. We're probably going to get new weather here actually any minute. So, weather, wind 0 to 9 or 0 at 14 knots, visibility greater than 6 miles, clouds few at 1800, showers in the vicinity, temperature 30 dew point 20, QNH 1012 or 29 or 88. So Alright. What are we looking at here? 5 minutes to top of descent. Alright. There's the beautiful island of Grenada. And then we'll make our turn here. Right over top of the airport. So the only other time I've used VNAV on an approach, I used it. I'll get rid of this irritation. The only other time I used VNAV on an approach, I had just the one window here with the map, and I had the waypoints and the times. Over here. So I don't know if I think it makes sense to I suppose I'm going to switch back and forth, can I? Alright, what I want is maps, and then map settings, and then inset window, flight plan. I'll dial this in a little bit closer. And so now what I've got is my time to top of descent. I want to see how all this comes together here. What what I'm guessing is that this I'm guessing that when this hits there is when I should go to vertical speed mode and get my descent going at this airspeed. Okay, there we go. So, vertical speed mode. Oopsie. Vertical speed mode. Now we're gonna go down at 1800 feet a minute. I want to pull pull the power back, but just keep the airspeed that I had. You can see the trend in the airspeed is that little pink number. That little pink line, rather. So I'm just going to keep pulling the power back until that gets to about 210. And see, I'm above, so this is telling me this arrow here is where I am on the VNAV, so I am not descending fast enough. See how that needle this needle keeps getting lower. So I'm going to dial the VNAV down a little bit. Or dial the vertical speed down a little bit, rather. And you can see right here is the needle of the vertical speed required, and I'm a little bit below that needle. So you can see I'm starting to catch up now to the VNAV profile. Now once this gets back to here, I am spot on my vertical speed profile, or my VNAV profile. Gosh, if I could even talk. And now over here, what this is telling me is what my next altitude is. That's what I've got dialed in for my next altitude. This is what I need dialed in. So once I hit 4100, my next altitude is, see, NAPCO is 4100. My next altitude is 3300, coming here to 3.0 to Lexor. So this number here, which is what I need to do, is going to drop to 3300 when I need to drop my altitude to 3300. So it's just going to tell me what to do this entire way down. Which is really pretty cool. So now this is the vertical speed trend line, the altitude trend line. And you see how what's required is about 1800 feet, 1700 feet, but what I'm doing is 2000. That's because the VNAV target is below my current altitude, and I need to catch that up. So what's the transition level? Flight level 55. Alright, 1012 and 2988. I gotta type those in. Write those down. 1012 2988. Then alright, now we're catching up. See, now that that's even right there, now I can bring my vertical speed up to match See how I've got my number or my setting right here matched to this V for the required vertical descent rate. Now I'm getting a little bit below the VNAV profile. So alright, so let's brief the approach. We're doing good on the profile. See how that's right in there? That's that pink arrow. There's my my vertical speed. It's perfect. So I don't have to really be looking over here and getting my required and my target and all this nonsense. I just watch this and do what it's telling me. Alright, Piarco ATIS is 126.7, approach 119.0 or 119.55. Tower 118.1, ground point 9er. When you hear pilots say ground point 9er, what that means is it's ground is almost always 121 point something. So if they say ground point 9er, that means ground is 121.9 and ground is 121.9 almost everywhere. I don't know why, but that's just the way it is. Alright, as an RNAV approach, final approach course is 105. Glide slope intercept is Talus is 1700 feet. LNAV decision altitude is 350 feet. LNAV VNAV. Airport elevation 58 feet, runway elevation 3000. The minimum safe altitude is 4100. So we cross NAPCO at 4100, come down to 33 for 3.0 to Lexor. Once we cross that, we come down to 2500 to Lexor. Inbound heading on 105, just like I said here. Down to Talus is 1700. Let's see this here. And that's glide slope intercept. We know that because it's that Maltese cross. And then we'll get the descent into the runway. It's 10 miles from Lexor, 5 miles from Talus. See that? 5 and the 10. I mean, it's 0.1, but whatever. Threshold crossing height is 50 feet if you're exactly on glide slope. Runway elevation is 30 feet. Alright. Descent angle is 3 degrees, so that means at 90 knots, 478 feet a minute, which is standard. Got a high intensity approach light system, which is the rabbit. On the left side of the runway, there's the PAPI, the Precision Approach Path Indicator. Missed approach. Climb to 1500, then a climbing right turn, direct Emira. That's what this dotted line is. So you climb straight ahead to 1500, then a climbing right turn to 4100 feet, direct Emira, and hold. That is a non-standard holding pattern. So that's going to be a teardrop. It's going to be outbound plus 40. Outbound plus 30 rather is 225. So I would come here, hit the Emira approach fix here, then go outbound on a heading of 225. Is that a timed hold? Maybe a timed hold. for 1 minute, then make a left-hand turn to an inbound heading of 10015, and then hold. Left-hand turns in a hold are non-standard. I always like to dial on my panel lights when I am doing an approach, just in case. Let's turn on the landing light under 10,000 feet. Alright, at 5,500 feet, we've got to go. We've got to go to 1012 or 2988. So I don't know why that always causes the map or the chart to. It's our minimum 350. Minimums are 350. Alright. Alright, we're gonna start slowing down here. And I'm just gonna follow that pink needle. See that pink V moved up right there because I'm slowing down. So I'm just gonna follow that. Gotta futz around in my chair here again, get comfortable. I do want to start slowing down. Here is the beautiful island of Trinidad. Alright. Alright, this is going to start happening real quick here, so I'm going to pull the power back even more. Alright, so 10122988. One zero one two 2988. Alright, I'm gonna make sure. Alright. So let's just follow the rules here, kids. Just gonna follow what the VNAV profile tells me to do. We are 3.5 from NAPCO. I'm gonna put the flaps down. That's gonna start us slowing down here. Keep track of when it's gonna tell me to change the altitude to 3,300. I gotta remember to keep it in vertical speed mode. Just slightly below glide slope, the VNAV profile. See that see that number there changed to 3,300, so now I change that to 3,300. Okay, and then you see the pink indication up here up top that I am on the approach. Piarco traffic, TBM 930 Mike Romeo, NAPCO inbound on the RNAV 10 approach, Piarco. Alright, now keep an eye on that. I'm keeping an eye right here on this 3,300. It's going to tell me when to drop it down to 2,500. Once it tells me that, that's what I'm going to do. Let's go into approach mode, 2,500. Now I need to get back to vertical speed mode. Approach is armed. Bring back some power, slow down more. Next altitude is 1,700 feet. And it looks like it's going to kick out of vertical speed mode, and it did. So now I have to wait. Now it says 1,700, got to bring it down to 1,700. Back to vertical speed mode. And then dial it down here to 700. Piarco traffic, TBM 930 Mike Romeo, Lexor inbound on the RNAV 10, Piarco. Alright. And we're looking good here. Altitude select, glide path is white, which means that's what it's gonna pick up the glide path. I don't need to get down to 1,700 quickly, but I want to, so I can configure the airplane. You can see the glide slope needle coming in now. I'm about to hit the altitude, and hopefully we'll pick up the glide path. Let's bring the power back to 23. This is textbook so far. This is absolutely textbook so far. Minimum altitude is 350 feet. You can see we're almost on glide path. That diamond is almost up there. Alright, Lexor 0.7 to Talus, which is the final approach fix. So now what I'm going to do is put the gear down. Then I'm going to put that last notch of flaps down. Now this airplane's really going to start slowing down. And there it picks up the glide path. Glide path goes green. We're good. I'm going to keep some power in because I want to stay at 90 knots. And all you do to do that is just make that little pink trend needle go away. I don't want you. And then we dial that altitude up to 4,000 feet because that is the missed approach altitude. See that? All good to go. 90 knots. There's the outer marker. Gears down. Flaps are down. I am fairly certain that is, yeah, that's the outer marker. So that's about 5 miles. .14 knot wind straight into us. Alright, 1,050 for 350. Clearly this is a visual approach, but nonetheless, this has been textbook. Piarco traffic, TBM 930 Mike Romeo on a 3-mile final, runway 10 Piarco. Airspeed is good. 850 for 350, that's 500 to go. Start bringing out a little bit of power, let that airspeed drop a little bit. Slightly below glide slope, I don't know why it's doing that, but it is. Wind is straight into us. Piarco traffic, TBM 930 Mike Romeo, 2-mile final, runway 10 Piarco. Alright, 550 for 350, 200 to go. A little bit more power out. 450 for 350, 100 to go. 4 red needles, I don't like that. I don't know why, or 4 red on the glide slope, but maybe if I go like that. No, I guess not. 350 minimums. Continuing. For red, I don't really like. Look at that tree. I'm gonna pull the autopilot off. I don't know why it's giving me 4 red. I mean, that's what the plane is clearly flying itself a dot below the glide slope, and I don't know why. Alright. Okay. Aside from the fact that the glide slope was, let's make sure we are doing what we think we're doing. Let's get off here at, I believe it's Alpha. Piarco traffic, TBM 930 Mike Romeo, clear the runway in Alpha 2, taxiing to the terminal via taxiway Alpha, Piarco. Alright, well, like I said, aside from the fact that flaps are up, let's turn our landing light off and our taxi light on. Aside from the fact that what I really probably should have done is gone over to the other side where the GA apron is, but aside from the fact that that flew me a half a dot low on the glide slope the entire approach, it's pretty good. I don't know why it did that, but it did. It did. So, in any event, it was all in all a smashing success, that approach. I mean, the VNAV was perfect. I flew the profile perfectly. And, I mean, I can't really complain. Park right here, I guess. So, right about exactly 2 hours from startup to shutdown. Alright, let's go move this over all the way back for idle cutoff. Parking brake on. Look at that, exactly 2 hours. Let's turn the lights off. Let's turn the panel lights off. Fuel selector back to manual. Auxiliary boost pump off. Autopilot off. Oxygen off. Starters off. Ignition off. Let's turn the master warning, master caution. Battery and generator off. Crash button down. So, good flight. I mean, really good flight. If I was an IMC, I wouldn't be happy about that. I don't understand why the G3000 is flying me a dot low on the glide slope. But that's not something I would be particularly pleased about. And look at that parking, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. That is almost perfect. Good pilot parks well. So, welcome to Piarco. And it's Friday night. Let's go have some fun.